Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Onnnnn Block podcast. It is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. I am your host here, Nordic97, with my other host, LeBlock James. LeBlock, how are we doing?
We're doing fantastic.
Coming off of a big Sens win against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Must feel great. Shutout as well.
It feels great. Always feels good to beat your rival, but it's even better when they don't get on the score sheet.
Oh yeah, and especially when it's the Leafs, that even
Yes.
adds a better anecdote to it as well.
Even when it's in their own their building as well. I always say, like, it's always fun. It's always good to go into another team's building and just not have their fans get excited for anything.
Ooh, it was in Toronto. That's great. All right, so we got a large abundance of topics to talk about today, so let's get straight into it here. We are going to start off with the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are looking like LeBlanc. This might be it. This might be a massive fire sale that we're seeing here. So, last night on Monday, the 11th, was an absolutely just abysmal performance by this team. They let in 6 goals in the first 20 minutes for the first time in franchise history. And letting in 6 goals in 20 minutes alone is absolutely insane. They only scored 1 goal after that to make it a 6-1 game, but then Dallas scored again in the third and made it a 7-1 whopping. And that made it pretty clear to Kyle Dubas and members on this Penguins team that, yeah, this isn't going to work. And it was official as of a few hours ago that Kyle Dubas has made every single player, except for Sidney Crosby, available for trade. So, LeBlanc, to put it into perspective, who are some of the players that are available for trade now on this team?
Well, like you said, like everybody except for Crosby.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're looking at guys who are going to garner interest on the market. We're looking at guys like Evgeny Malkin. I don't know, because it feels like Crosby and Malkin are so attached at the hip. It would feel really weird seeing Malkin in another uniform.
I don't really know if I can see that. I feel like I need to look up Malkin's contract now, but I would feel like I don't think with the money he's getting paid, I don't know if teams would really want to go out and get him. To be honest.
Yeah, but you could do the retention, and if Pittsburgh's just tearing it down, you shouldn't have an issue retaining some money on that.
No, you shouldn't. You should absolutely have no problem with that whatsoever. Malkin is on a $6.1 million deal until 2026. So that is actually a pretty movable contract when you actually look at it there. Other guys that I think could get moved to, Brian Rust, Ricard Raquel, Kevin Hayes could be a good option, Cody
Bunting,
Glass,
Michael Bunting, maybe.
Michael Bunting. Um, Marcus Pettersson, I think, has become a really notable option for some. He has very good defensive numbers, underlying numbers, so he could be somebody on the move there too. Matt Grzelcyk, another possible guy who could get flipped.
What
You
about
know,
Eric Carlson? Isn't an interesting one.
yeah and no.
Yeah, because you know a team would take on Eric, especially a team that has the cap space and wants to take that next step. They would go after Eric Carlson.
LeBlanc, I saw a tweet today of somebody putting Carlson in an Ottawa Senators jersey.
I've seen like 8 of those just in the past hour. Like,
No.
I always say, like, Carlson. Sens fans love Carlson. They want to bring him back, and I'm always like, keep him in the past.
He's in the past for a reason.
He's in the past for a reason. And it's like, oh, it solves the issue. No, it doesn't.
No, it does not. I agree with you there.
Yeah, but like Carlson could be I think it's unlikely, but like it could be a move in the off season.
Yeah. I think they really want to build. They just want to get draft capital, which is why today they traded Lars Eller to the Washington Capitals in their first move. And the first one goes down, is what I said on Twitter. And Lars Eller was traded for if I can pull up the number real quick. He was traded for a 2025 fifth, which belongs to Chicago, and a 2027 third. and Eller is on a $2.45 million deal, which expires at the end of this year. He had 7 points in 17 games so far with the Penguins. For that, that's just a good pickup for some draft picks. Again, like, you look at their draft capital over the next 3 seasons. Now they have actually a lot of picks to work with, couple thirds, couple fifths, but you want those firsts and you want those second round picks for sure. But again, I think this is the first of many moves we're going to see. We may not see a lot of moves from Pittsburgh till the trade deadline, but it's pretty clear that they are tearing this roster down now.
Yeah, no, like this is like Lars Eller. That's the first domino. What's the
Yeah.
next domino? But if they're going for the teardown, I really want to know what does Crosby think about this? Because I think I said this before in the past. I think Crosby cares way more about his legacy as a Pittsburgh Penguin, as an athlete in the city of Pittsburgh, than he does about winning any more championships. I think he wants to
Yeah.
retire with a Penguin. He wants to see it out the rest of his career. But like, if I'm Crosby and if I still have have want to go compete for championships, don't want to be a part of the rebuild. If I'm Crosby and I see this, it sours me, and I know he just signed a extension. I don't see him being traded at all. But teams will call and ask about him.
Teams are going to call.
Yeah,
Teams probably have been calling. I think that it would take a lot for him to get moved, especially since you don't want to be like Kyle Dubas doesn't want to be the man who trades Sidney Crosby in a sense. But again, like I said this to you last night, I'm like, man, like imagine if they could have traded him. Like imagine if he did want to leave and they could trade him. I feel like this team's future would be completely different.
that would
What is preventing them right now from really, again, they say they're going to make everyone available, but in the grand scheme of things, I think he's really the one that's preventing them from going into this full rebuild that they want to get into.
yeah, we talked about. I think I said last night that he's really holding them back from tearing it all down.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
here's the thing: if you trade Crosby, you're gonna get a lot for Crosby.
No
Even at
matter
this
what
old
age he
age,
is.
you're gonna get a lot for Crosby. If they trade Crosby, that kickstarts the rebuild. That means you're looking if you're trading Crosby, it's at least one or two firsts, a good prospect, and a roster player at least.
That's if Kyle Dubas could pull that off. Because remember, they made the trade with Pittsburgh for Jake Gensel, and yeah, I don't know. That wasn't like the greatest trade in the world. I think what they got like a second for him.
They got a conditional first that turned to a second because Carolina
Yeah,
didn't make the third round. They got two good prospects from Carolina though that have high potential. Um, but like you said, you don't want to be the guy who's known for trading away Sidney Crosby.
yeah,
And like I want to make an example. Look back at Edmonton when they traded Gretzky. I know it's not the same, but like Peter Pocklington cannot step foot in the city of Edmonton anymore.
probably not. Yeah,
Yeah, because after you traded Gretzky, it was a whole ordeal. But still, to this day, people are shouting about it. You don't want to be the guy who trades Crosby and Pittsburgh. I don't want to make a stereotype. Pittsburgh's a city of winners. Pittsburgh's
yeah.
used to having besides the Pirates, but they're used to seeing winning teams.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The other thing that I'm really thinking about too is like again, Kyle Dubas is like has probably one of the hardest jobs in the league right now. Trying to manage this team that is just in the sale of no man's land right now. But you got to think what's going to happen with Mike Sullivan, and this might tie into something we're going to talk about later on in this episode. But I think it's a good starting point to talk about it because there's a good chance that Sullivan might get let go soon possibly. And I think that if he gets let go, there's going to be a lot of teams lining up to go out and get him.
Yeah. I would say sooner rather than later. We'll go. I'll give my thoughts about him as a whole when we get to later in the episode. But yeah, like I can see him out of Pittsburgh sooner rather than later. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. Any more thoughts on the Pittsburgh Penguins and this kind of little teardown that they are on? We didn't really focus on the goalies that much. I think Nedeljkovic could be a guy teams might get interested in with with how dry the goalie market is. Possibly, he's somebody that I could think of. But overall, like again, this Penguins team is just in. They're in a very interesting spot.
Yeah,
But
I'll touch on the goalies. Jari's been not great. He just got back from a conditioning stint. But like Nedeljkovic could be flipped. Blumquist has been actually a pretty big bright spot for them this year.
yeah, even though last night was not particularly great, but I still think overall, yeah, I'm with you. I think Blomqvist has looked good too. So we'll see. I don't think they would move Blomqvist. I think he's too young. He has too
He's
good of a
20. He's
future.
22. There's no if you're moving off of a 22-year-old goal, you better be getting a haul at least.
Yeah, you better be getting like the Askarov return. Honestly, that's the
Yeah.
only acceptable way that I would be able to like. Okay, but Blomqvist ain't no Askarov. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Moving on now to some news around the league. We're going to start off with another trade that occurred, and it involves Daniel Sprong, who has been traded from Vancouver to Seattle for future considerations. LeBlanc, this is a little bit of a weird one on Friday night. What do you think about this one?
It wasn't a fit in Vancouver. It just didn't work. But I think to give up on it, like, well, we're not even 20 games into the season yet, is kind of insane.
He must have butted heads with like Rick Tocchet or something.
Something must have happened with like coaching because like to get nothing for him. Like I think he goes back to Seattle where he's had success, but if you
Hmm.
want to say he had success under Dave Hackstall,
Yeah.
this is a whole different coaching regime. So we'll see what happens here. But like Sprong's a good third liner. I think he could be very valuable to that Kraken organization. So I think Seattle, you get a guy who you're familiar with. You get a guy who you have for a year, and you can maybe flip him at the deadline if you really don't if it doesn't work again. So yeah, I think it's a good trade for Seattle. I think Vancouver just wanted to cut its losses.
So Sprong is on a only 1 year deal worth 975K. It expires at the end of this season. He had 3 points in 9 games played with Vancouver in this little stint. So it's kind of one of those like first off, it's kind of one of those funny like little like quiz questions. You could be like, who did Daniel Sprong play for a very limited amount of time, and you could be like, oh, Vancouver. And it's a pretty cool kind of quiz question because I know down the road people are going to forget that he even played in Vancouver for less than
Yeah,
10 games. And I saw one of those 10 games too, so that's a pretty weird thing to think about, to be honest with you. But it seems like Sprong he had to have butted heads with Tocchet in some way, and it seems like it might only be because of his depth scoring. If his depth scoring isn't converting, I just don't think he's that useful. He's not that great defensively when you look at his analytics. He's kind of a one-dimensional player. So I think that might have been why he found his way out, and the depth scoring wasn't really there. But again, he's going to Seattle where he's had success. So we'll see if that does pan out in the long term. We have some waiver things we need to talk about here. Dante Fabro was put on waivers by Nashville. I just saw LeBlanc commented on the post saying he's a Senator, but he's not a Senator. He went to the Columbus Blue Jackets a few days ago. LeBlanc, what do you think about this move? I think Fabro. I think a lot of teams strayed away because of the money, how much money he's getting paid.
yeah, I think that's what
Columbus,
Friedman was saying. He didn't expect anyone to take him because of the money, but
yeah.
Columbus has the money, so might as well take a chance on Fabro. I think Fabro kind of got the short end of the stick in Nashville. Like
Kind of
he's a
found
good
himself outside of the lineup a lot.
yeah.
Was mostly seventh defenseman.
Columbus is going to get a real opportunity to play top four defensive minutes.
100%.
So if he fumbles this, then might as well fumble your way to the AHL.
I've always liked Fabro though,
I,
so
I,
I hope
I
he'll pan
yeah.
out.
I wanted the Sens to pick up Fabro because I'm not a huge fan of Hamonic, but
Huh.
um, yeah, I feel like for Columbus, it's a perfect move. You need depth on the back end. You're going to get depth on the back end with Fabro. Fabro's going to provide you with. I would say, I would describe him more of like a two-way defender. Like he can provide you with some offense, but he's also not a bad defensively. He's not bad defensively either.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also placed on waivers, we got two other big name waiver placements here. Andreas Athanasiou was placed on waivers on Monday by the Blackhawks. He's on the final year of a 2-year, $4.25 million deal. Now he did clear, but that's interesting considering the fact that Chicago's not that deep of a team, and if Athanasiou can't make that lineup, then that's a little. It's kind of crazy to me. I was kind of shocked he didn't get claimed, to be honest. I thought there would be maybe a team that would take a chance on him. But then again, he is making $4 million. If he was cheaper, maybe, but
Yeah, it's just when I think of Andres Avenue, I think of that one trade deadline he got traded for like a second with Mike Green for two
oh yeah,
seconds,
that's right.
and yeah, just
From the
like
horrible Red Wings.
yeah, he's a former 30 goal scorer, but like he's bounced around quite a bit. He's been in Chicago now, what, 2 or 3 years now? Yeah,
Yeah,
no, Chicago is not a deep team, so if you cannot make that lineup, there is definitely some question marks. And also, this opens up a spot for one of Chicago's younger players to get an opportunity, which I think Chicago will take any day of the week.
yeah, I agree. I think that it's we'll see where it goes. The other waiver claim that I wanted to talk about was Capo Kakinen. So earlier in the season, he was put on waivers by the Winnipeg Jets and was claimed by the Colorado Avalanche. Now, Kakinen was injured at the time. I think only played 1 or 2 games for the Avalanche, was placed on waivers again yesterday, and was claimed again today by the Winnipeg Jets. I feel like, LeBlanc, we've talked about stories like this before where guys will just get placed on waivers and fly around the league and get claimed in so many different places. Kakinen's one of them. I remember Eric Comrie was a big one. Adam Brooks was a big one a few years back. May forget that name. There's always been a lot of these fun names, but I thought that was a cool third thing to bring up because Kakinen's really been kind of just like a journey waiver guy
Mm-hmm.
throughout his career. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing to bring up. All right, next up, Tanner Jeannot, and was a controversial one. Tanner Jeannot was suspended 3 games for an illegal check to the head on Canucks forward Brock Besser. And LeBlanc, you especially wanted to talk about this one, so give us your thoughts on this very controversial hit.
Yeah, look, like, just like, why?
Doesn't look necessary.
It doesn't, it's like, it just, you're doing too much. Like, you're doing something to cause and he got suspended for it. It was Jeannot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Jeannot, obviously, it is, in my eyes, it's intent to injure. It's intent to cause harm. And now, Besser, last I checked, he's out indefinitely.
Yeah.
So,
It seems like yeah, Janot's just really struggled. Like since that one really good year in Nashville, bounced over to Tampa, never panned out in Tampa. Got traded to LA and now he just seems like kind of not irrelevant, but like it seems like he's trying to make a name for himself now in this league, kind of trying to stay by making these physical plays. But yeah, that looks completely unnecessary, and Canucks fans let him know because they made him private his account on Instagram,
yeah,
which is
I'm looking.
another
I'm
discussion. But
re-looking at the hit now, and it's clear like he comes in like he knows where he is. He's not like, oh, I just didn't see him. Come on, come on, like
Arbor Janot.
like
Yeah.
like he looks at him and then goes in like oh I just, just saw his shoulder there, but yeah, Janot's always been a guy that has an edge, but this is just plain dirty.
Clear suspension. Even Kings fans were saying that it was definitely
Dirty.
it was the suspension. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that speaks a lot. All right, that is it for actually one more thing. Anthony Mantha is out for the season after suffering an ACL injury and now will have to go undergo surgery. Sucks for the Flames because he was going to be like a deadline player they
He
may move
was,
on
yeah.
to, but now they really can't do that. So that
So
kind of
now
sucks.
he was gonna get garner them maybe like a third or a second. Now
He wasn't going
you
to get him a ton. on, but
I mean, you could probably bring him back on a 1-year deal again.
yeah, you probably can. So again, hopefully, he'll be able to recover and come back next season. But overall, it does kind of suck for the Flames there. All right, let's move on to the big news, LeBlanc. So this is a very interesting one. It's good for let me just start off with this. It's good for the players. That's what I'm going to say here to start off with. So the NCAA approved the CHL player eligibility for D1 hockey. And this new rule will allow players involved in CHL clubs, the OHL, the WHL, and the QMJHL, to transfer and play in other NCAA ice hockey programs. So, LeBlanc, you kind of explained this pretty well when you were talking to me the one time. So, what does this basically mean?
So this means that the CHL leagues, the WHL, the OHL, and the QMJHL, is going to make the leagues a lot more competitive because in the past, to go play NCAA hockey, you had to go not the junior route. You had to go with the prep school route or the was it like junior B route, where you
Yeah.
had to basically play like if you're in Alberta, you had to play the BCHL, which is British Columbia Hockey League, which is basically you played at a lower level of hockey to go to college. Like guys like Cale McCarr played in BCHL to go. I think McCarr went. I totally forget what school McCarr went to. I don't know why I want to say Denver. That's probably wrong. But you look at this and like how and guys in the U.S. had to go play in the USHL to get their NCAA eligibility. If you went to the CHL, your eligibility was cut. That's why guys like Navi Kachuk, when they went to play for the London Knights, they couldn't go to college because the NCAA eligibility was cut. So now this is a big boost for the CHL because you have players who are going to go play at a higher level of hockey at a younger age, get that development, then they can either stay in the CHL or they can go off to college in the NCAA. I will say this does hurt the the BCHL and the USHL.
Yes. So hypothetically, we'll get into why it will affect the USHL and the BCHL in a second. But hypothetically, if right now, so let me wait. No, let me ask you this question first. So if right now, let's say a player like Jet Luchenko, who's in the OHL, could he go to college now or next season?
It starts next season, so like players like right now, if players who are of age can, if they're approached by NCAA recruiter, they can accept scholarship offers. So Luchenko could probably transfer to NCAA program,
Okay.
but that's up to him, his decision.
Well, yeah, but I was just asking if that was possible. So yeah, hypothetically, like yeah, it gives players options. It's good for the players for sure, and it gives boosts to those bigger leagues. But it does hurt leagues like the USHL and the BCHL because these players who maybe might not be like that well known of players in these leagues might go straight to NCAA or the CHL and they'll get a better look in those places than they would if they were playing in the USHL or the BCHL. So definitely hurts those
Yeah,
leagues.
I do want to mention though that there are benefits to going to college and going to the NCAA, but there also are benefits of staying in the CHL. The CHL pays their players.
Yeah.
The CHL pays their players quite a bit of money. It's not like, oh, I'm rich. It's like, it's an average salary. It's not minimum
Hmm.
wage, but it's not like high gains. So they pay their players. You get to travel across Canada. Um, NCAA, you get a college education. You get to have nicer facilities, and you get more national exposure at the U.S. level. While in CHL, you get more national exposure at the Canadian level.
Yeah.
Um, and I do want to say there's an example here. So Ottawa Senators prospect Blake Montgomery, fourth rounder from this past draft, he left the USHL, and he's now with the London Knights. He is a University of Wisconsin commit, so he will play with the London Knights, and he'll probably go off to U Wisconsin either next season, or the year after, or he might stay in London. You never know. This is also going to be it's going to be weird to see the dynamic between how desperate are CHL clubs going to be to keep these players,
Yeah.
and will they fight? Will they give them more? reason to stay, or will they let them freely go off to college? Because now with more player pools coming in, better talents coming in, so I want to see that dynamic. I see how that plays out. But yeah, but let's talk about the USHL. Just the competition level is going to drop. You're not going to see a lot of you'll still see good players in those leagues, but it's not going to be as competitive as it once was.
I don't think you're gonna see guys like you're not gonna see any more Michael Hages or Trevor Connolly's. Like you might not see a lot of that high talent as we did this past draft because we saw a lot of guys. Maybe they didn't come straight from the USHL, like Celebrini played there and then he went to college. But you saw a lot of picks this year come straight out of the USHL or guys who played. I don't know if we'll see that a lot. Maybe not a lot of top picks.
We won't. I think we'll still get draft picks from those leagues, but just not in the higher quantity like we saw.
Yeah. So that'll definitely affect those leagues. But again, I think it's good for the players. I think it's a good gives players options for what they want to do, gives them a better chance to get out there. So overall, I think that it's an interesting thing, and it's been a barrier that has been like this for a very long time.
Long
I think
time.
forever.
Yeah, it's always been like this. So I think you and me agree this is a very good move for the players.
Yeah, this just really is like it's like honestly kind of like groundbreaking to be honest with you. All right, so we are going to continue on talking about coaches who may be on the hot seat for the month of November. So we're at that point where a year ago today, Jay Woodcroft was fired as the Oilers head coach and Chris Knobloch took over. He was the first coaching change last offseason. So, LeBlanc, before you get into yours, I have a list of 5 coaches who I think may be possibly on the hot seat, and we're going to talk about them here a little bit and kind of just get the ball rolling. So, starting off at number 1, Andrew Brunette of the Nashville Predators. What do you think?
I don't hate it because I think Trot, but like the comments Trot said about rebuild, like kind of lean me towards that. Even if this is like a dumpster of a season, Brunette might be staying on.
True, that actually is a good point, but I don't know. They may want to make a coaching change first before they move into that process. I don't really know why would they go straight to rebuild
Yeah,
without at least trying to fire the coach.
yeah, because I think the plan was always like go all in for 2-3 years, rebuild.
Okay, that's true, but
But yeah, I get what you mean. Like they should change the coach before they go. You know what, rebuild this thing. Like no, they're
yeah,
gonna.
exactly.
And you're staying. No, they're not gonna do that. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So
and I'll be honest, I don't think Brunette would be interested in a rebuilding team. Even if he did stay
yeah,
on, I feel like he would resign.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Mike Sullivan, just kind of talked about him a little bit earlier. I think
Yeah,
he
I 100%. This is one I got like 100%. I think he will. I think he will be the first coach to be fired this year.
okay. Yeah, I agree. I think with the way the Penguins are going, you may need to make a coaching change. You have to at some point. He's been there for what? How long?
He's
So
been there since 2016.
yeah, 8 years, coming up on 9. So gotta at least try something. Let me throw a little bit of a curveball at you, Derek Lalonde.
I, that's not the curveball I was expecting, but it's kind of the one I'm like, I wouldn't. That's one where I think that's more of the fan base wanting him gone. Like I can't see Eisman firing him unless things get really bad. Like the Red Wings are sitting right now 6-7-1 in 14 games. Not ideal. They sit 7th in the Atlantic and 14th in the East. I do want to mention that they are 3 points out of a wild card spot.
It's true.
I can't
That was
see
one.
Yzerman, like, if they lose the next game, I can't see Yzerman going, oh, see ya. Like, it would have to get to a point where Detroit is at least, like, 8 points out of his playoff spot.
Okay. How about John Tortorella?
Ooh.
The thing is, Philly started winning games. That's why he's probably not going to get let go, though.
I can't see him. I can't see him being fired, at least in season.
Okay.
Because if Philly's gonna like unless he does something like drastic, like if he keeps keeping Mitchkov out, if he keeps Mitchkov out of multiple games, if he goes against the brass, like I can't, I just don't see him being fired in season. Off season, yes, we can talk. We had that conversation, but I don't think because Philly right now 6-8-2 in 16 games. Looking at
Yeah.
6th in the Metro, we're looking at 12th in the East.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think you could have seen it a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago, honestly. But now that they've started to win games, I don't know if it's really going to happen. I know they won tonight. Jim Montgomery.
That's someone I was gonna tell. Yeah, I feel like they came back and won. Yeah, this is the one where I think like Boston has not. This is not the Bruins. This ain't Joe Daddy's Bruins. This is like this is the. I've never seen the Bruins be like subpar.
I've never seen them be like this meh.
Yeah.
Honestly, never. Andre Torgny. If things get bad in
If
Utah.
things get bad, yes, I don't see it though.
Patrick Waugh.
Yeah, I see that. I see it. Greg Cronin, 2 years, second year, can't see it. I know I just said that about Patrick Waugh. Yes, I see it. The Islanders lose aggressive with his coaches. The Ducks are not.
This is more of a fan one, but I threw it in here. Marty St. Louis.
I want him to get fired so bad because half fans always rave how much of a good coach he is, but
not recently.
But not recently. But now I'm telling you, when do they turn on St. Louis? I told you this actually. When do they turn on St. Louis?
You probably did, to be honest with you.
And they're last in the NHL right now. They are last.
I don't think you fire him though. I will say this: like they aren't getting better. That's the biggest complaint.
That's the issue. They're
getting better.
We said they would be better, and they haven't gotten better. Caulfield's been better. Suzuki's taken a step back. It seems like so far from his play and his analytics. I just don't know. You're dealing with a rookie, a couple rookies in the lineup. I don't know. I don't know how you go from here. If they end the season last, St. Louis is fired.
Probably. If they finish the season last, I don't think they will, but hypothetically, if they did,
if they get a top 3 pick, come lottery season, he's gone.
Probably. And lastly, this is a little bit of a stretch. I had to throw in 10 here to make it even. Luke Richardson.
Can't see it.
I don't know. Chicago seems to be starting off bad again when people think they were going to improve.
Richardson's more of a placeholder coach, and they have no expectations in Chicago right now.
I think the team wanted them to get better.
They want to get better, but they need to realize that there's still so much work to do.
True.
I feel like if we're having this conversation next season, then I can maybe hop on the idea.
All right. Who are some coaches that you think could be on the hot seat right now?
I gotta go. I'm going. Standings. I don't know if it's just me, but Jeff Bannister.
You mean Drew Bannister?
Drew Bannister, excuse me.
Bro doesn't even know his name.
Bro, I feel like St. Louis has looked just horrible. How do you have 2 games you've lost 2 games score of 8-1?
They also blew a 2-0 lead today.
They don't look, I know they're injured-ish, they just don't look right. When I watch the Blues play, they don't look great. Like they just don't.
Well, you can make the same argument for Bannister as you could with Greg Cronin.
You could, yes, but yeah, Bannister is also in his second year, and I do realize that now. You could make it, but like
First full year.
St. Louis is a team where it's like they're in no man's land. They're a team in no man's land. I don't want to say they're like the Islanders because like the Islanders are a lot better than the Blues, but like they're kind of like the Islanders.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're
I thought about Jared Bednar.
yeah, I was gonna mention Bednar, but like they're injured to shit. Like I don't
Yeah.
like if they were at this spot with a full lineup, then we could have that conversation.
Yeah, I just don't think so right now.
And I'm gonna throw him out there just because it's fun to throw him out there. Knobloch,
No,
not yet.
no, I don't buy it. They're 500. They're way better than they were at this point last year. They're gonna be okay.
I do want to say there are reports that that teams have significant interest in Joel Quenneville.
Yes,
There's been
that's
reports
very
about that.
obvious.
There's also reports if Montgomery gets let go that there will be a lot of teams interested in Montgomery.
Oh yeah, there will be teams that line up for sure.
Yeah.
100%, I agree with that. Mike Sullivan too. He's another one.
Yeah. Mike Sullivan's. Yeah. Because I can't see any team like even like the good teams. The good teams like this fire their coach when they go on like a pretty damn losing streak sometimes. Like I don't see. Like we talked to earlier in the year and are curious about DeBoer, but like I can't see that. Dallas
No.
is kind of up to they're 9-5. They're off to a pretty good start. You can't see Huska after you can't. Like, if you're the Flames brass, you're like you know what, good job, keep doing it.
Give him the damn Jack Adams.
Yeah,
To be honest, he's in Jack Adams talk right now. Not even
um,
freaking.
yeah, like even like first, like I can't see a first year head coach being fired either.
Okay. Well, technically, Drew Bannister's kind of a first year guy.
Technically, but I don't know. The only one I would say that wouldn't surprise you if they got fired is Patrick Waugh, because Lou Lamoriello like hates his coaches.
Yeah, it seems like there's already some disagreements there. So I'm with you. I wouldn't rule that out either, to be honest. So give me your top three right now.
Top three to be fired.
Yes, let me grab a post-it note.
My number one is Mike Sullivan. I just think the Pittsburgh Penguins look like just a mess. They have the most regulation losses in the East right now.
Okay.
My second one, I am going to say, I'm going to put Jim Montgomery at 2.
Ooh.
I just really think that if the Boston is one losing streak away from being out of the playoffs entirely.
Probably.
And then we'll go with Brunette.
Okay. Yeah, my number one's still Brunette. I just think that, you're really going to go into a rebuild without trying to at least fire your coach and shake up and get something else to happen. You're really going to go in that direction. So Brunette is my clear number one. Number two is still Mike Sullivan. Number three, I did actually have Lalonde. I don't know. It was like I knew my top two, and then after that, it's kind of just like a scramble. Like I could put a few guys at number three, to be honest. My number three probably gonna be. Give me Patrick Waugh.
Okay.
I could really see it, to be honest. I don't know. I think Montgomery might have a little bit of a longer leash because of the.
I mean, there's been reports that Marchand's gone to upper management about coaching. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like always, when that happens, it means one survives. Either Marchand gets traded or Montgomery gets fired.
Yeah. So.
And usually they side with the player.
100%. Yeah. And I think that's a good transition into Boston. We don't need to spend a ton of time on the Bruins, to be honest with you, because we kind of just did talk about them. But Boston off to a surprising 8-7-2 start. That you may say, oh, that's not that terrible. But 8-7-2 for the Boston Bruins is underachieving expectations by a ton.
I want you to put this in perspective. I'm going to do it by their points percentage. Teams with a higher points percentage right now than the Boston Bruins. We're looking at, so you have usual suspects of Jersey, Florida, expected, Carolina, Washington, the the Rangers, the Ottawa Senators, Tampa Bay. Yeah, that's by point percentage, and like if you're below, if you're at 8, 8, 9, that's not. And the Bruins are a team where they always started off fast. They were a fast team. They always start off fast, and now we're looking at struggles, and the fan base is getting kind of impatient.
Yeah, I agree. I think that something's got to give here. What's most notable is that their third periods. I mean, tonight they scored freaking 3 goals, so we look like idiots. But their third periods, apart from this third period, have looked pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even have a shot against Ottawa.
Yeah, they didn't have a shot for almost 25 minutes.
Yeah, they didn't have a shot. They only had like 3 shots against Calgary when they were there and forced that one to overtime.
Thankfully, they
So it
won
just
that one. They won that one,
really,
thankfully. So
they did win that. So it just seems like that has been really underlying. Now there have actually been some positives with Boston, believe it or not. Let me pull up their stats here real quick, but they actually have some pretty good positives on their roster. What's most notable is that the fourth line has played really well. Cole Kapik has 4 goals, 8 points. Mark Kastelik has 7 points, 3 goals.
Big Casty.
Big Casty, yes. Justin Brazeau has 6 goals.
But
Or 6 points, not 6 goals.
Yeah, here's the issue though. The top line is not producing. Yeah, great, you have depth scoring, but you need upfront scoring too. This is where the Bruins come into this issue. Is that you need, if the Bruins top line was producing, we're not having this conversation.
They don't have a single player above a point per game.
That's actually wild.
Elias Lindholm only has 2 goals. Pavel Zacha only has 3 so far. We're almost 20 games in, by the way.
Yeah.
Zadorov has taken a penalty in like almost every single game, which is insane.
Yeah.
They sent Matthew Poitras down to Providence, which was a little bit surprising. Morgan Geekie only has 2 assists. Just, what's so weird is like we're seeing the complete opposite. You usually see your top guys perform and not your depth. We're seeing the depth and not the top guys. Now, Pasternak's looked good. Has looked all right. 14 points in 16 games, but he was benched during that one game.
He was benched
Seattle.
in the third. Yeah. They call it. They call it a coaching decision.
Yeah, it just seems like this team is in a really weird spot. A positive though has been Younes Korpisalo, the backup goalie. Apart from the pretty horrendous game against Florida, has a .900, which is better than Swayman right now. Swayman .896, a 4-5-2 through 11 games. So at least Korpisalo looks all right, but it seems like the exact opposite is happening right now between these two with what you usually see. So it's really weird right now when you look at Boston.
Yeah, Korpisalo, I'm looking at his stats right here. 3 wins in 6 games, 1 shutout, 2.72 goals against average with a .900 save percentage. It's a good bounce back for him.
Yeah. So again, it's early in Boston, but I think there's a lot of concerns here that do make you a little bit like, I don't know. And again, that's why we talked about Montgomery, because again, if they go on like a 3 or 4 or 5 or longer game losing streak, you could see them.
I'm gonna put this very frank. If they go on a 5-game losing streak, his ass is grass.
Probably. And the rest of November is mixed. It's a mix of some solid teams in there, and then you have some meh teams in there. You have Dallas on Thursday. That'll be an interesting one. You have the Blues again on Saturday. You have the Blue Jackets, Utah, Detroit, Vancouver, the Islanders, and then Pittsburgh to wrap up your month of November. So above all, I think that they have their mix of good teams in there and they have their mix of bad teams in there, but they need to start winning games consistently. They have just been wildly inconsistent. That's the biggest thing with this
Mm-hmm.
team. So we need to see that in the next season for sure. Or in the next couple of games for sure. All right. Any more thoughts on the Boston Bruins?
Mid.
Okay. All right. All right, let's get into our final topic of the day. We're going to talk about some Four Nations stuff. So I thought this would be a fun topic to discuss because I think when you look in terms of the Four Nations tournament, they are, I believe, a couple of weeks away from the rosters being finalized.
We're
And me
about
and
3
LeBlanc
weeks away, from roster finalization.
Yeah. So me and LeBlanc wanted to talk about some candidates who might be obvious, who might not be obvious, to possibly make the Four Nations teams. Not just Canada, not just the U.S., all of the teams. So, LeBlanc, you want to get us started here, get the ball rolling with some names?
I do want to say, Bleacher Report came out with their predictions this afternoon, and I was just laughing so hard. Like,
I haven't even seen it. Let me go look at them.
I want to bring up a guy I think is on the bubble because he's been having a pretty good start to the year. And call me a homer, I don't care. Drake Batherson should be on Team Canada.
Really? Why can't I find this? Okay. So for Team Canada, all right. Hypothetically, right now, looking at Bleacher Reports, I would probably put Batherson over Stamkos right now.
Yeah. Batterson's been on unworldly level this year. He's been really good for Ottawa. He's scoring not slowed down the past week and a half, but like he's still producing.
Yeah, he's a good name. The goaltending has proven really interesting for Team Canada. I think that Cam Talbot might be a name that people are looking at, which is pretty crazy to think.
I can't tell you how much that like really grinds my gears. As someone who saw Cam Talbot play live half the year, 2 years ago, that actually grinds my gears because Cam Talbot, he's having a nice run with Detroit. I still don't consider him a like at least the starter for Canada. Third goalie, let's do it. Let's run it back. But I don't know. Canada's goaltending is just so rough. Like everywhere else, you could say is like near perfect. Goaltending's rough for Canada right now.
Yeah, that's their biggest issue. I mean, you're matching up against like Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, Demko. Like that's your guys you're facing up against. Now, LeBlanc, I want to throw an interesting one here out for you for a guy who might make Team Canada. How about Dylan Strome?
I don't hate that. As a bubble guy, I wouldn't hate that, but like I'm looking if you look at Canada's center depth, we're gonna go with like McDavid, Bedard, McKinnon, Crosby. You could move those guys to wing, but oof. Strome is an interesting one. Strome's having a pretty decent start. He's been good since he's gone to Washington. And I feel like he'll be a bubble guy, but you also look at like other depth, like Scheifele's there too. It's a deep center pool for Reinhardt. Like it's so deep down the middle.
You know who else I might think might be a good one? We're gonna look at Team USA now. You know who might be somebody who might make Team USA?
I want to hear it.
Tage Thompson.
I always figured that Tage Thompson would be on Team USA in like a fourth line role.
Well, he looks like he's back right now, putting up great numbers. So he's the guy I'm looking at.
Yeah, Thompson's got 11 goals, 7 assists, 18 points in 16 games, well, +7. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that he's a name that is definitely going to be looked at. Somebody for Sweden, Philip Gustafsson, looking like he could be one of the tandem goalies in there right now.
Gustafsson's also a guy who's like, yeah, he's having a great start, but like he's so inconsistent with his starts.
True.
But because like
But
Sweden should. Look at Sweden's goalies. You're looking at probably Allmark, Markstrom, and then maybe Gustafsson.
Sam Urson?
Urson will be in consideration. I don't think he'll get the spot though.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. Hang on a
Even
second.
looking at who am I gonna bring up now? I'm trying to think.
Is Corpusalo Finnish?
He's Finnish, yes.
He could be somebody.
By Finnish, I
All
mean
right,
he's finished in the NHL.
Finnish. All right. Yeah, he could fit in there with Saros. Maybe I'm forgetting a
I
starting
don't know.
goalie.
I'll be honest. I don't know any other Finnish goaltender other than Saros and Korpisalo.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think.
I can't name you anybody. Oh, I got a sleeper for Team Canada. How about Jared McCann?
Ooh, that's not a bad pick. I don't know though. Where would he fit in?
You put him on. You could put him third line, right wing. You. I do want to mention that we'll be carrying 5 lines like the Olympics,
Yes. So
so
there will be a fifth line.
there will be extras. So McCann could be that guy to go 4th line. He could be in your scoring role because you need scorers and you need like checking line. But I think that's what 40 season people won't understand. Like, we're gonna be some guys who make the team who like we don't see coming. Because like
Yeah.
I seem to forget like you need a checking line. Even at the Olympics, you need tough guys. You need guys to check.
Tom Wilson might make it.
I just that also pisses me off. That also really grinds my gears. That's also,
Matt Rempe, Team USA.
oh, my.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
so it's not like Olympic hockey, but if it was, it means like Red Bay would never make an Olympic team because his job is
No,
to.
I'm joking.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny to like think about. Red Bay at the Olympics? No.
Absolutely not. That'd be like John Scott at the All Star game a couple of years ago.
Travis Konecny for Team Canada is also a sleeper.
Yeah.
I want a guy. I'm going to say this right now. A guy who I think should not make Team Canada, and it's going to be very controversial. Nick Suzuki.
Ooh. He looks solid though to start this year though. Like he had 2 against Buffalo the other night. I thought he looked good.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't liked the way when I've watched him play. I just
Well,
don't like what I see.
well, you're looking at center depth, because he would be a center, right?
He would, and you can't put him on the wing. You can't put Suzuki on the wing in this situation either.
He would have to be that fifth
He's
line guy.
more, yeah, he's more of a true center. Like if you're putting Suzuki to wing, I don't know.
You're fighting with couple guys. So I don't think he might make it, but probably not. Cole Caulfield maybe for Team USA.
Caulfield should make it. The way he's played this year, I think he's deserved the opportunity to represent his country. I think the starting goalie for Canada should be Logan Thompson.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now you got to look at their options. It should be Thompson for sure. Maybe Joel Hofer gets in there, but yeah, I don't know. Lots of names.
There's a lot
there.
of
Like December 9th, right?
yes, December 9th. So we'll probably get more into this once we hit like our first December episode.
Probably, yeah. So we're still a week or 2 away from that, or 2 weeks away from that.
Oh wait, I think I found a Finnish goalie who I know, Justice Onnnnn.
Yeah, that might be your 3. Saros for sure. Did you see a couple weeks ago there was Darnell Nurse was a consideration for Team Canada's defense?
I saw that and I fell to my knees at Tim Hortons.
Laughing or crying or
Both.
surprised?
Both.
Oh my god.
All of the above. Sir, I have your double chocolate donut. I can't right now.
There's actually no way. That's pretty crazy. Travis Sanheim was another name that people were putting out there.
Sanheim's a sleeper to make Team Canada. But like Is there any chance we see a U.S. goalie tandem that's not of the following: Hellbuck, Swayman, Ottinger?
Who else is making it?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like the only other option you could be there is Demko.
Yeah, and he's hurt, so I don't think that's going to happen. I think that is your top 3 is decided. And don't say it. Don't say his name. Don't say it. Not the Nordcast legend. Don't say it, please. Look, he looks good right now. I'm not even going to say his name. I'm not going to give him any credit. If you know, you know. But he looks good right now, but he's not making it over Swayman or Hellebuck or Ottinger. And I know I'm probably going to eat my words up now that I say that, but
I want to say is like I do think like this tournament's in his first year. It's placing the All-Star game, which I'm kind of bummed about that because like I'll be honest, I hate the All-Star game, but like now we can't argue on who should be an All-Star.
we can make our own teams.
Yeah.
I think the NHL will do that anyway.
Yeah, I think though you need like it feels like they're excluding like a good chunk of the league.
Yeah,
I feel like they should have a team North America and a team Europe.
they really should do it that way. But then again, that's kind of like congesting a team together. They should really have done four nations. Like sounds like such a great name, but they really should have included the other countries like Germany and Czechia and even Russia.
Even Russia, Slovakia. You probably can't get a team with that actually, but like all the other countries, small countries, should have been on a team Europe. That's what I always say.
Yeah, you could have merged all the other ones together and made at least a team Europe. Because I know Sweden and Finland can produce their own teams, but
like Germany can produce a good chunk. Switzerland can produce a good chunk. You're not gonna get like a full team from those two countries though.
Right. All right. So as we wrap up, who is your clear winner right now? Who is the team to beat or the country to beat?
The United States. Well, I always say the country to beat is always Canada because we are on a global scale. You think of hockey, you think of Canada.
You do.
Yeah. And like I do want to say, for me, the team to beat is U.S. They're stacked on goal. They're stacked on D. They're stacked on offense.
They seem like they are loaded everywhere, but Canada seems like they have a lot of top end talent too. Though it's the goaltending that's really making the difference. And Hellebuck looks like he's going to win a Vezina as it is. So
yeah. So I do want to say though, if the USDS does win this, remember it's not the Olympics, so relax.
It's not. They're gonna rub it. I'm gonna rub it in your face when it comes, but it's not the Olympics.
Yeah,
so.
I always say the one thing that will always elude. I've seen my country with NHL players win gold. The United States has not.
LeBlanc, I was like 5.
I know, but I mean like before, but like when you guys won gold last time, NHL players weren't allowed in the Olympics.
That's right.
So I'm saying, the United States with all the NHL talent they've had, they've never seen their country win gold.
When was that? Like early 2000s?
That was
when we won gold.
It was like the 80s.
No.
Yeah, it's from the 70s or 80s. Yeah.
The Miracle on Ice was the last time we won gold.
Yes.
In hockey.
My dad would always used to say, the movie's called Miracle because that's what it was. A fucking miracle.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I mean, like, when you look at it, to be honest.
He's not wrong. But yeah, like the United States has gotten close so many times though at the Olympics, and like I think NHL players are going back to the Olympics actually. So
this just shows you how young I am.
Yeah, like it's gonna be so fun to see them back at the Olympics. That's another conversation in itself, but we can get to that when that time comes.
Yeah, year or two from now. All right. That will conclude this episode of the Northern Block Podcast. LeBlanc, any final thoughts to wrap up this episode?
How do you lose to the Ottawa Senators in the year 2024 and get shut out?
Here we go. It's Maple Leaf slander. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for watching or listening to this episode of the Northern Block Podcast. We really do appreciate it. If you would like to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, that would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. The links will be posted down below. Follow the Nord Block Pod on Instagram. Follow the Nord Block Pod on Twitter. That is where you can find us with our other content and lists, and that's where our clips go and all that fun stuff. All right, I'm Nord. That's Block. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Ciao!
I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Man, I just do what I do. To know about you, I just do what I do. Check. That's the intro. See that? Yeah. I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Yo, check. Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. I am close to divine. Know the moment is mine, need no omen or sign. I'm sprint. Providing a back sound to all the squares that ask around. We getting it. My skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I take it, it's mine. I'm selfish. Yo, will tell Miss I'm on my wealth tip. So when we cash out soon, I'm just investing. Hey, no yes men. I've been a legend since before mom and dad had me and was best friends. I chew through comp, don't test them. I chew on tracks, cause after that I bless them.